What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about what I've learned living in Nashville over the last couple months, and this is more catered towards musicians who are interested in moving to Nashville and are wondering what it's like, because before I moved, I was trying to figure out and research how much money am I going to make playing gigs and what the music scene is like and how does everything work. So the first thing that I would say is that so I'm from Northwest Indiana, right under Lake Michigan, and I would say the standard for gigs there is roughly $100 a person for a 3 or 4 hour gig, right? That's kind of like the standard. Sometimes you might play a gig for 60 or 70 bucks, and then a lot of times you can get one for 150 bucks or something like that. Well, in Nashville, I would say I've had way more gigs that pay less, actually. So I've had my first couple of weeks here, I would say I was on a consistent basis, I was making roughly 60 bucks, 70 bucks a day. And I was paying roughly $15 a day for parking. So, you know, a lot of times I would just profit 40 bucks or 50 bucks for the first couple, probably a couple of weeks. Then towards the end there, I started getting some gigs. The gigs started paying $100 plus. I also played a lot of gigs outside of Broadway, so it's not, the ones that are outside of Broadway, honestly, those can pay more sometimes. There's some places where it's, you know, 150 a person or something like that. I will say the acoustic gigs, if you can do duos, stuff like that, it's normally easier to make money that way. But the Broadway stuff is it's such a wide spectrum of, like, it depends what venue you're playing, what circuit you're on, what time of day are you playing, what day of the week, all these different things. So I would say if you're playing a good stage at a good time, then yeah, it's probably easy to make $200 a person, if not $300 or $400 a person, if you're, you know, really at a prime time. But if you're playing earlier shifts where you're playing from 11 a.m. to 2, or you're playing even 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., then you're probably looking at more like 100 bucks to maybe 150 bucks, something like that. Now, that's not for all the different places. I haven't played all the places. I probably have played about maybe 6, 7 different places on Broadway. So, and the other thing to consider here is a lot of places around here don't pay you anything, and you just play for tips pretty much. And so that was another thing I was not used to that playing in Indiana, because nobody really did that. But here, since there's so many musicians, people are willing to play for just tips, and so that's something that honestly, when you first hear that, it sounds really bad, but then once you do it, sometimes you have really good days and you can make, you know, $50 in an hour or something. So it's not always bad. It's just something you got to get used to, and you just have to be good enough to, you know, impress the audience and take the requests. Taking requests is a big thing. And then once you do that, then you can get, you know, $20 requests pretty easily. Sometimes you can get $50 requests. And, you know, I've seen bands on the main stages get $100 or $200 requests just for one song. So it's a really wide spectrum. I would say one of the easiest ways to get in to playing Broadway is going to be getting into the Tootsie circuit, which is, meaning the circuit means you play a couple different bars that are all run by the same company. So like the Tootsie circuit would be Tootsie's, Kid Rock's, Rippy's, and Honky Tonk Central. That seems to be the one that a lot of people start off with, probably because it seems like it's the easiest one to get into, because Tootsie's holds auditions for new people to come in and play, and then if they like you and they think you're good enough, then they put you on the stages and you start getting shifts a couple times a week. So now the base pay is not, it's not good for those. It's normally 200 bucks for the whole band, 300 bucks for the whole band, something like that, right? It's not very good. That's where the tips come in. As for the other circuits, The other circuits are sometimes $400 for the whole band. I haven't played any main stages at prime time yet, so I don't know what those bands are getting. Maybe I don't know if they're getting 600 or 800 bucks for the band, or how that works. But other places it's normally like, I would say 150. If you can get 150 a person, I would say that's a pretty good base pay, if you can find the venue that pays that. So it is tough getting into a lot of the other venues, because like over the last couple of weeks I probably emailed well over 100 places in the Nashville area for live music, and I got some gigs from it, but I didn't get a lot. I probably got 3 or 4% of the places you contact are going to get back to you. So it is tough in that regard. And then the other thing is just meeting people and going to jam nights, meeting more musicians, and trying to play with different people. That's one of the best ways to do it too. You kind of have to do that, actually. You don't really have much of a choice there. So the more you do that, then the easier it is to play other places, play with other bands, get recommended. The other thing is getting recommended is an important thing too, because I feel like I've gotten recommended a couple times to play with different bands, and every time that happens, it kind of, it forces you to play with new people. A lot of times you play new songs, and it just helps build your name and your reputation. So those are the important things. I would say, so here for context, last week I counted my gigs. Last week was one of my busiest weeks ever, if not my most busiest week, where I played I think I played 9 gigs last week, okay? Now, I would say there's roughly half of those were only an hour long. So they're not all 4-hour gigs, but there was a couple 4-hour gigs. There's probably some 2-hour gigs, and then there were like half of them were like a 1-hour gig. So I probably actually gigged for roughly 20 hours, let's say 20 hours of gigs for the week, okay? I only made about $600 for that 20 hours of gigging. So and then you got to factor in parking. The cheapest place you can find parking, I would say right now, is 210 Commerce Street. Normally, if you go on Spot, not if you drive through the garage, but if you go on Spot Hero, you can normally get it for like $11 for a couple hours. Now that changes. Sometimes it goes up to $18 and $20 depending on the time, depending on how busy it is. So you do got to be careful with that. Some of the apartment buildings and stuff down there, you can get it validated and you park for free. Then if you're playing at these places downtown, they will give you a discounted parking ticket that's normally like $10. So you're still paying something. It's still gonna eat into your earnings, but it's cheaper than pretty much all the other places down there. $10 is not bad. So there's that. And again, like how I said, some places around here you're playing for tips. Some places around here you can get $150 a person, especially if it's an acoustic duo. In about a week from now, I'm playing at the fairgrounds over here. I think it's like I'm not sure what type of festival it is, but it's at the fairgrounds, and we are getting $350 for 2 people. That's probably one of the best paying ones that I've had so far. My best paying gig down here, I want to say I made, $185, and I want to say that was $400 base pay for the band plus $380 in tips. So see, that was a good day. We had a decent day where we did $380 in tips. So everybody in the band got whatever that is. It was like $180 or $190 a person. So that's been my best gig yet, and I believe that was at Whiskey Bent Saloon. So there's a lot of factors. I haven't figured it all out yet. I haven't played all the places, and I haven't played with everybody yet. I haven't learned all the songs yet, but this is where I'm at, which is roughly 3 months in. I made trips down here. I made a trip. I was here for a week in February. I was here for a week in April, and then I think I came back at like May 30th or something. I came back here. So really June, July, and then now we're at the end of August. This is pretty much 3 months. So it feels like I've been here a long time. It feels like I've been a lot of places. I've met a lot of people. So I would say the progress has been pretty good. It's just, it is hard to afford things if you don't have a job or you don't have another stream of income. It is tough. You definitely need to have money saved up, or you need to get a job down here before you're making, a ton of money just for music full time, and you're able to live off of that. So what else did I miss here? Then we got, I would say, knowing the songs, because, okay, so I've been playing guitar for 15 years, okay? I have a list of, I think every musician should do this, especially in Nashville. I think you should make a list of all the songs you are capable of playing. Now, my list, what I qualify for songs on my list is songs that I have in my head that I pretty much have memorized, right? Not songs where I can look them up and play them if I'm, following a chord chart. That's not what I'm talking about. But in Nashville, because that's the other thing I learned down here, was back home when I played in Indiana, I almost never, when my band would play a show or something, I wouldn't be looking up chords online to get through the song. That never happened. I pretty much had everything memorized, and that's it. You perform as a band. The singers look up lyrics. Pretty much, probably 95% of singers, no matter what state I'm in, singers look up lyrics. That's just how it goes. There are some singers who do memorize the lyrics, and it's extra impressive. But that's about 5% of the singers I see out there. But then as for guitar players, bass players, piano players, whatever, or drummers, I guess, especially on Broadway, you're going to be looking up chords, charts, whatever it is. You're going to be looking up the song to get through it, because there's so many requests. There's probably going to be songs you don't know, especially in my case, because, so back to my full list of all the songs I know, last time I counted, there was close to 570 songs on there. So it's a lot of songs, but the problem is my song list is not really what they're playing on Broadway. But what they're playing on Broadway is there is rock, there is hair metal, there is stuff like that, but it's also heavy country. It's some 60s, 70s country, some 80s country, but it's really heavy on the 2000s and up country, stuff from the last, let's say, 25 years maybe. So country, rock, it's a lot of big hits that you hear, but I just learned a lot of, my song list consists of like Led Zeppelin, David Bowie, Neil Young, a bunch of stuff that rarely gets played down here. So it doesn't really matter, my song list. What really matters is, what is the song list of the singer? The singers have, the singer's song lists are more important, because as a guitar player, I can look up the chords to almost any song and get through it. A singer cannot do that. A singer has to know how the song goes. So it's really important what songs are they capable of singing. So that's the other thing, is you got to learn how to do that. You got to have your phone or your tablet or whatever it is, get a stand for it, and you're going to have to look up chords to play these songs. Now, the other way I think of it is, I'm always thinking, okay, everybody's going to play Don't Stop Believin', they're going to play whatever, You Shook Me All Night Long, they're going to play Sweet Child of Mine, they're going to play, I don't know, Mama Tried, right? I'm just calling off, I don't know, Here for the Party. There's going to be songs that get played. So, Jesse's Girl, whatever it is, those songs, if you can just memorize them, those songs are going to come up. Sweet Home Alabama, those songs are going to come up. So learn those songs. That way you're always prepared for anybody that you play with. And then, as much as I'm trying to do that, no matter what happens, there's always new songs that come up that I've never heard of, and then you got to go back and relearn, not relearn, but you got to go back and learn more new songs for the next gig. So that part gets old. But if you can learn those hits and you go learn Jesse's Girl, Sweet Home Alabama, Don't Stop Believin', all those songs, well, then you'll be good to go. It's a lot less stressful. But regardless of that, even if you know all the major hits that usually get played, there's gonna be something that comes up. You know, when I came down here, I didn't really know Alanis Morissette songs, but Alanis Morissette gets requested all the time at a bunch of different places. A bunch of her songs too, a bunch of different ones. So you learn some Alanis Morissette. But other than that, we covered the songs, we covered the pay, we covered the, you know, what the situation is like down here as far as networking and going to the jam nights. If you want a quick way into Broadway, it's going to be auditioning at Tootsie Circuit and going to the meetings on Mondays. Is it the best circuit? No, it's not. So keep that in mind. The other thing I missed was not only networking with the jam nights and stuff, networking on Facebook. That's the other thing. That was how I got my first into the first band that I played with on Broadway. Probably my second week here. It was pretty close. It was like early June. I saw somebody on Facebook needed a guitar player. I applied. It was just like 1 or 2 days though. It was just a substitute. So I subbed in, and then I think probably roughly a week later, about a week later, then he's like, "Do you want to be in the band?" So then I joined the band, played with them for roughly 4 or 5 weeks maybe. So that was a good experience. And then, you know, I've gotten a bunch of other gigs and stuff, made a bunch of other connections from Facebook. That's the other thing. Join the Facebook Nashville groups, and that's going to be a big thing. And then going to the jam nights. And that's pretty much it.